I'll be introducing to you the 4 types of micropipetters that we'll be using in the laboratory. Micropipetters are used to dispense volumes of 1,000 microliters or less, or 1 milliliter or less, as 1,000 microliters equals 1 milliliter. Now there are 4 different micropipetters we'll be using. Each one has a different range of accuracy, and they can be distinguished from each other by a couple of features. You can distinguish them by the color of their cap, and also most of them also show a range of which they work. Now not all of them show this range, and I'll try and show you how you can tell the difference between them. The one that I have here is often referred to as a P1000, and it is good for dispensing volumes of 100 microliters to 1,000 microliters. This type of pipetter uses a specific kind of tip. It has a blue top to it, and this is usually the best indication as to what kind of tip it uses. It will use a blue tip, and I'll introduce those tips to you after I show you the micropipetters. The next type of micropipetter is often referred to as the P200. And this one works in a range of 20 to 200 microliters. Note that its top is yellow, and the type of tip that it will use will be a yellow tip. The third kind of micropipetter is the P20. It will work in a range of 2 to 20 microliters, and it also uses yellow tips. And finally, we have the P10, and this works in the smallest range that we'll be using in this class. It works in a range of 0.5 to 10 microliters, and it uses the smallest tip. It will use a white tip. In this segment, I'll be demonstrating how to use a micropipetter. The first one that I'm going to be showing you is the P1000. That's the one with the range of 100 to 1,000 microliters. Now, when you go to use a micropipetter, the first thing that you want to do is set the number of microliters you are going to dispense. Now, the way to do this is, first of all, on the cap there is a locking mechanism. You want to unlock that mechanism, and then you twist the cap until it reads the number of microliters that you want to dispense. Now, in this case, I'm going to dispense 450 microliters. So I would turn this until it reads 0450, and then I would lock it. In order to dispense liquid, the first thing you need to do is to seat a pipette tip. Now, this is a P1000, which uses the blue pipette tips, so I would seat this disposable pipette tip onto the barrel. In order to dispense a certain volume of liquid using a micropipetter, the first thing you have to become familiar with is the top of the micropipetter. When you put your thumb on the top of the micropipetter and press, there are 2 places in which you feel resistance. There's what we'll call the first stop, and this is actually the measurement stop. When you press it to this point, this is going to displace a volume of air within the micropipetter equal to the amount that you've dialed in to the micropipetter. But if I press my thumb a little bit harder, that second stop is actually the blowout function, and that is only used when you're dispensing the volume of liquid out of the micropipetter. So once again, when you are going to suck something up with your pipetter, you only press it down to that first stop. Never press it all the way down. Now, in order to suck liquid into this micropipetter, I'm going to first press the top to the first stop. Okay, then you take the pipette tip and you place it just within the liquid you are going to dispense. and you very slowly release your thumb. Do not quickly release your thumb, or that can suck water into the barrel of the micropipetter. Now, once you've released your thumb, you withdraw the micropipette tip from the liquid, and it is ready to dispense into whatever you want to dispense it into. In this case, we're going to dispense it into a microcentrifuge tube. And so what I'm going to do is to take the micropipetter, and I'm going to place the tip on the inner wall of the microcentrifuge tube. Although this doesn't matter for a large volume, such as the 450 microliters that I'm using in this demonstration, when you're working with very small volumes, such as a microliter, 2 microliters, it helps a lot to have the micropipette tip against the inner wall, because you can see whether or not you've dispensed the volume. Now I'm going to slowly press down on the top here. And now once again, I'm going to feel that first stop. That was that measurement stop. It is here in which you press it all the way down to blow out that last bit. Withdraw the micropipetter and then release your thumb. Okay. So now in this tube we have exactly 450 microliters of liquid that we have dispensed in here. Okay, I'm going to place it in the rack. In order to get rid of this disposable micropipette tip, there is a place to depress on the top of your micropipetter. Depress this, and all of you will have a disposal container at your bench. So you press this, and that ejects the micropipette tip. Now, as I mentioned previously, there are 4 different micropipetters you'll be using in this class. The first one that I did the demonstration with was with the P1000 with a range of 100 to 1000 microliters. And for this, you would use the blue pipette tips. Now, the other ranges of micropipetters, the next one down, is what we call the P200. Now, I'm going to show you the measurement area here where you dial in the number of microliters. Because this only goes to 200 microliters, you can see that what this pipette tip is set to now is to 100 microliters. The most that you should ever set this pipetter to is 200 microliters. Now this pipetter uses the yellow pipette tips as shown here. Now these yellow pipette tips are also the appropriate pipette tip for the P20, which is shown here. And the range of this micropipetter is 2 to 20 microliters. Now, when you dial in the volume on this one, you can see that this says 05 line 0. And that indicates that this P20 is set to 5 microliters. The last and the smallest of the micropipetters you'll be using in this class is the P10. And this one has a range of 0.5 to 10 microliters, and it uses these smallest white micropipette tips. If you look at how this one is set, you'll see that it says 01, then there's a line, 00. The way that this particular micropipetter is set is to dispense 1 microliter. Now these are very, very small volumes, and so 1 microliter is the tiniest of little drops. And so when you suck up the volume in this micropipetter and dispense it, be sure that you actually see the liquid go up the pipette tip to a very small amount, and that you see a small bubble of material go into the wall of the microcentrifuge tube when you deliver it. All right, I'm going to do this one more time without all the breaks in between for explanation. So I'm going to dispense 150 microliters of water into a microcentrifuge tube. So what I would do is unlock, turn the dial until this P200 is 150 microliters, lock, seat a pipette tip, press it down to the first stop, insert it into the liquid, slowly Suck the liquid up by releasing my thumb, removing the pipette tip, putting the pipette tip into the microcentrifuge tube, slowly depressing my thumb to release the liquid, pressing it down all the way to blow out the last bit, withdrawing the pipette tip, and ejecting the pipette tip.